Hey guys, here to do another review for Game of Thrones. We're here talking about Stormborn, episode 2. And firstly, before I say anything else, sorry for this being even later than normal because I watch Game of Thrones on HBO now, and our internet streaming, whatever you want to call it, just was not working. So I had to wait for like 2 hours before I could even watch it, which was vastly frustrating. But anywho, I finally watched it, and I got a few things I want to say before I get into the review. I'm going to be a little bit upset in this review, but it's not because I didn't like the episode. And I want to make that very clear way up front. I really enjoyed this episode. But I have to rant for a little bit before I actually talk about the episode. Because here's the thing. You know, there was this big old controversy while Game of Thrones was being filmed, that, you know, it came out that there was only going to be 7 episodes in this season and 6 episodes in the final season of Game of Thrones, which, as we all know, up until now every season has had 10 episodes, and it always bothered me, the fact that we were only going to have 13 episodes, not because in theory or in general that it wouldn't be possible to sum up a story and that much. Like, it itself is not what bothers me. But seasons 1 through the end of 6, they set up so many storylines and plot lines, major and small. How? Like, I get it. You don't want to have a bunch of draggy episodes, slower episodes, but and all of the extra episodes that would have been there necessarily wouldn't have to be that, because you could take your time and do everything across 20 episodes versus 13. Here's my problem with tonight's episode. And we're going to start out in the end. The whole time this ship fight was going on, I just was praying, please don't end here. Don't let this be the place where this episode ends. And it did. And it infuriated me, because you can't do that when you only have 13 episodes. How the hell are they going to finish this whole thing out? I don't understand how it's even possible, unless they do this whole thing at the end where it's like a fucking dream or something. And I swear if they do that, I'm going to be pissed. Yeah. That was my overall take on the episode, was just, I don't understand. But let's actually talk about the episode itself for a little bit. There was the one thing, if I could think of one word to describe what I really liked about the whole episode, was the dynamic. The way they used different dynamics, the dynamics between different characters. I love the settings that they used. That moment from in between Grey Worm and Missandei was so intimate and beautiful. I loved that scene. I also really enjoyed the opening where Tyrion was talking with Daenerys, and she goes off on Varys. Like, I always wondered if she would actually, like, approach him or say anything to him, and well, that answered my question. Yeah, I mean, this whole episode was more setup, like more setup. So, which I think I talked about in the last review, and I know I talked to some of my friends about that. I kind of guessed that maybe the first 2 episodes would be the setup episodes, and it's looking like that's what this is. Like, I think this big ship battle at the end of this one was like, okay, we're getting into the action now. So I'm hoping that's true, because you can't push things off more than they already have. It's like, that's my whole frustration with the whole thing. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. It was really good. There wasn't really one particular moment that really, stuck out to me. It was just a really solid episode. I loved the scene with Arya and the wolves. I suppose that would probably be my favorite scene. if I had to choose one, even though the ship fight at the end was really cool to watch, I don't know that it was my favorite thing about the episode. I really like the fact that Arya is finally going back to Winterfell, and I hope they keep her on that. I hope that whole wolf scene wasn't some weird way to get her to go back to King's Landing. No, she figured out she needs to go back home because Jon's there. Let's go. Please, just go. So I hope they keep her on that. Unless, I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, because, I've watched several theory videos on Game of Thrones, and Nymeria and her, and a lot of people speculated that, she would find her again. But, so I was confused. It's like, when she said that isn't you, was that her kind of like speaking as Nymeria towards Arya? Oh, this isn't you? Or was she literally saying, that's not you, meaning that could be one of Nymeria's puppies, or like kids. So I wasn't sure which of the two, because it's one of those two. I don't know. I couldn't read it, which either way I would be fine with. But yeah, I felt like it would be more poetic if it was her and it was just it was like this person you've become. This isn't you. And then Nymeria kind of just leaves her like Arya left her. But I feel like they wouldn't have brought the wolves back in just for that. So it's probably got to be like that wasn't actually Nymeria, and then Arya's probably going to go off and try to find her, which I would be down for. Just as long as she still just heads towards home. Just go home, kid. Go home. But yeah, rating, I'll probably give it a 9 out of 10. It was, and I'm not even giving it a 9 out of 10 because it wasn't a perfect episode. I think this was actually one of the most solid episodes of Game of Thrones. But I try to reserve that perfect episode for like the super, super good one. So, but yeah, it was a 9 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed the episode, other than, like I said, I don't know where they're going with it. And that really bothers me, because I don't understand how this epic of a story with all of these different pieces, how you can do it in 13 episodes. I don't get it. But yes. Oh, and I really did like the stuff with Sam and Mormont with Jorah. That sucked, but was great, and I'm really curious to find out whether it worked or not. So I'll leave it on that. What was your favorite part of the episode? Are you as frustrated with me with the fact that how they're doing everything, or are you with it? Are you for it? Are you more positive about it? So let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.